Hello, hello. We are live. I'm super excited today to have Samantha Holloway as our guest to join us for the lunchtime career strategy session. So I'm so excited today. I'm just going to go ahead. Samantha, if you can give us a brief introduction of who you are and what you do, and then we'll start with the Q&A.
Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is Samantha Holloway. As you guys may have seen in the invitation or the advertisements, I am an attorney. I have my own firm, the Holloway Firm, which I started about 90 days ago. And prior to that, I was an attorney for the United States government, and I've done that since I graduated from law school about 6 years ago, or over 6 years ago.
And where are you from, Samantha, originally?
I'm originally from New Haven, Connecticut. And I've come to Atlanta for college, lived here for a few years afterwards, went to Arkansas for law school. I've worked in DC, and now I have my firm here in Atlanta.
Awesome. So work brought you to the great city of Atlanta, as it has for many of us. I'm going to jump into our questions. I want to remind our audience, if you have any questions throughout the career strategy session, just pop your question into the Q&A feature here on Google Hangout, or you can tweet me. I have my phone here, so I'll be able to ask any questions to Samantha. I don't know where that came from.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry about that, Samantha. So whatever questions you have for Samantha today, for Attorney Holloway, just send them to me through the Q&A feature and through Twitter. These are career questions. Like all of your litigation questions, you'll have to reach out to her separately for. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there. Okay? So Samantha, my first question is, tell me what you do day to day. Now, I know it's different day to day in your field, but in general, what is a typical day like for you?
A typical day starts early. It starts before I even wake. Oh, wait, the phone's ringing. So a typical day usually starts with me returning voicemail or answering email from the day before. I do try to get some administrative things done during the day. For example, yesterday I actually signed a lease to another office. So thank you. I've been conversing with providers for the internet, for some new legal research software. So this morning I did all my DocuSign documents. I've done those type of things. So that's what I do kind of early in the morning. And once I start getting these voicemails returned, you look up and it's lunchtime, and then I'm starting on the work that I have prepared for the day.
So you have a very exciting path just starting your business.
Right.
And I know that keeps you definitely busy throughout the day. Congratulations on your new office space.
Thank you. Thank you.
My next question for you, Samantha, is what did you want to be when you were a little girl?
When I was a little girl, I can't remember what I wanted to be, but I remember at the end of middle school going into college, my dad kind of sat, I'm the oldest. I have a sister that's about 15 months younger than I, and I have two younger brothers that are about 6 to 10 years younger than I. And so when I was about in middle school, he pulled kind of me and my sister aside and asked us what we wanted to be, and I don't remember what our answers were. But he gave us actually Dr. Ben Carson's book, Gifted Hands, which is interesting. And he said he wanted us to read it, and he wanted us to have a plan. Because when he was in high school or going into high school, there was no plan. So he just worked, went to school, graduated, and worked. And for us, he wanted us to kind of have more concrete plans than saying, I want to go to college. Well, what do you want to do? And so when I was younger, probably in about the beginning of high school, I wanted to be a doctor. And that dream kind of lasted through first semester college of my freshman year when I got a D in chemistry and realized I would have to take it over. And I'd rather split my wrist than take chemistry over. So I decided not to be a doctor, but to become a lawyer.
Awesome. I know all about that. My first semester freshman year, I was a political science major. After my first test, I beeline to the office where you could drop classes. I was like, this is not the major for me. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but this political science stuff, I don't know what made me pick that major.
I understand.
So tell me, Samantha, what does navigating the career jungle mean to you?
Well, I think it's twofold. Number one, I think it's what you do. And the second, I think it's what you allow to be done to you. And so in terms of what you do, I think that it means that you're pretty nimble, that you're flexible, that you open yourself up to possibilities, and that you are courageous enough to kind of take a stand when what's going on is not working for you. I mean, whether that means taking on additional duties, going to another career. And what the second part about being allowed what happens to you, I think taking control of your career and your destiny by saying either I'm not going to be overworked, I'm not going to stay in a job that I don't like for whatever reason. So I think navigation is not only kind of what you do, but kind of how you allow others to kind of affect your career.
That's very, very deep, and exactly what navigating the career jungle is. So let's take it a step further. You just talked about starting your practice 90 days ago. Can you share a little insight on what got you into the place where you wanted to open your own practice?
Well, I think that most careers, people start evaluating where they are about the 5-year mark. I think that's kind of a given across industries. So I looked at my job and I realized, okay, I've been here 5 years. I've been able to create a level of success. I'm very proficient at my job. And there weren't really many opportunities for growth. And so as a young person, we're kind of different than the older generation. We're not going to work at a job for 30 or 40 years in the same position, hope to retire, and then, travel the country in a Winnebago. We are going to be the type that we're going to be looking for new opportunities and opportunities for growth. And, I asked my supervisor, we had a reorganization, and it was the top person in our region, and the reorganization cut out 2 management positions. So when I asked her, I said, as a young attorney, I would like to know that I have an opportunity to grow. And now instead of, 4 people competing for a management position, it's now going to be 25 of us, and I was the last one here. And she told me if I wanted to be in management, I should find another job. And it's probably the best advice that she gave me, because I did a lot of prayer and thinking and fasting, and I got to the point where I said, I know I'm good. I know I can do this, and I can do this for myself. And that's kind of how this idea of starting my own firm and actually doing it was kind of born.
That's very inspirational. And instead of you getting an attitude and panicking, you really took that advice seriously and said, okay, well, let me explore this option of leaving and doing it for myself. So kudos to you for having the courage to make a decision like that, such a bold decision.
And I will add, she said that, and that kind of started getting me thinking. But I had my immediate supervisor who pulled me in the office, and he asked me what was going on. He said, you were a person he said, your work quality is not suffering, but you don't seem excited to be here. You don't ask for more opportunities anymore. You kind of just do the work and leave. And this supervisor kind of told me he used to feel that way at a previous job, and he left, and he felt that this job was stifling me. And if you're not happy, it's going to eventually affect your work, but it affects the people around you. It's going to affect your family, your friend, your partner. So it was just something that, you know, if you're out there and you're contemplating about leaving, do it before everybody leaves you, because you've become so miserable. So that was another thing I wanted to kind of add.
Thank you for adding that. So my next question is, you kind of talked about what your day-to-day is like. How do you plan your week and your month?
Well, this is definitely trial by error. And when I first began the firm, I actually got 2 clients the first day. They were 2 friends of mine. And I've been off to a running start since then. Within the last week or so, I've developed the mindset that my schedule doesn't control me. I control my schedule. And so, when you're your own boss, when you work for someone else, you have no problem leaving at 5 o'clock. You have no problem leaving the work there and, you know, going to dinner, going home or whatever. When you own your own business, I felt kind of guilty at leaving the work, saying, oh, I didn't get it done today, but it needs to get done. So that was kind of destroying my life. So now having taking control of my schedule, I've built in meal times. I used to make myself available for clients to meet when and wherever they'd like. A little bit more strict that you need to come to my office rather than me coming to meet you. I will accommodate you. We'll meet later in the evening if you need to meet after work or early in the morning. But I'm not going to drive an hour to meet you. I've also gotten a little better about scheduling my time. If there's a project I need to work on, then I'm blocking out those 4 or 5 hours on my schedule. I'm not answering phone calls. I'm not returning emails. So I think kind of just taking control of your schedule has helped me a lot with handling the day-to-day things that I need to get done.
That reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. It says, don't let the day run you, you run the day. And you are now running your own day. You're not letting that day run you. Mm-hmm. So Samantha, tell me about a time in your career where you had a big challenge and at the time you did not see how you were going to get through it. And then tell us how you did get through it.
Well, I will say that, you know, the biggest thing, and I think this happens with most entrepreneurs, not all, but with most of us, is the financial aspect. So how am I going to be able to afford to start a business and not be homeless? So that I think was my biggest challenge. And I know I wanted to leave. I kind of had it planned out in terms of what steps I needed to take. I had researched some options, but I didn't really have a lot of money saved. I'm not 20 years into my career. So I didn't have, you know, this thousands of dollars. I had some savings, but I had to kind of figure out, well, what happens month 3 or month 4? And the way I kind of did it was I kind of looked at the total financial picture. I had 401k, I had other options, because I had worked so long. I had invested into a pension. I had unused vacation time that was paid to me. And then I had to know that I'm going to start getting paid for my services. Because at the beginning, I don't know why I thought I would exist in this vacuum where I would only be able to rely on my savings or the money I had. There hasn't been a month that's gone by that I have not gotten paid. So definitely it was the financial aspect, but I think sitting down with everything, looking at your total situation, trying to keep costs, overhead very low, and coming up with a budget was kind of the way I got through that challenge.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And as a new entrepreneur myself, I definitely can relate to everything that you just said, and I echo it, and I put the stamp of approval on it. It's really important to have a budget and actually stick to it and manage it. Just like you run your day, you have to run your budget and be very conscious of all of your income and your expenses. So let's talk about what inspires you. So what or who inspires you day to day?
I'm inspired by people like you and other peers and colleagues who are also taking this plunge. Because sometimes when you're your own business owner, you can feel alone, or even if you're not a business owner and you work somewhere, you can sometimes feel alone that maybe the things that you're thinking and you're facing, other people aren't. So I am inspired by the network of people that I know, because they encourage me by watching them, chase after their dreams. I'm also inspired, and this is, I used to date a guy who was really into quotes. And so he would always send me quotes and things like that. And so I've gotten into it. I absolutely love those little memes that, the little picture of, the ocean with a quote about, don't jump off the cliff or whatever the quote is. But those things really inspire me. And I have hundreds of them on my phone. So if I see one on Instagram or Facebook, I save it and I go back and I look at it, and I have apps that I have that give me daily inspiration because I don't have coworkers. So there's no one, and your friends get really tired of you saying, well, I don't know if this is going to work. And so being able to find that inspiration within, and if you're a spiritual person, being able to go to your higher power and receive encouragement and strength has really, really been kind of the strongest thing that has kind of helped me.
I love that. So you'll have to share with us some of your quotes, and I'll post it on the event page for people to go back and look at. So speaking of keeping yourself motivated, how do you wind down after a busy day?
So I used to be kind of a TV junkie. I watched everything. I don't really have time for that now. I have one show I kind of DVR, so I catch up on that. I like wine, but wine really helps to be able to sit down with some wine and some music to relax. My dad, which is really unlikely, suggested that I try yoga. He's read about yoga. He's never even done it. He's read about it, and he thinks that it would be amazing. But I will say, whatever you choose, it's really important to de-stress, because you will make yourself sick. And it won't be, oh, I developed this. It may be a cold, but you'll just feel where you just need to lay down, like that kind of sick, where you've done too much. So whatever it is, find something that you can do every day. I'm actually thinking about taking a vacation every month. And that vacation may just be, a staycation where I turn off the phone for one whole weekend. I don't think about work. I don't think about anything. Or I go to the Georgia mountains or something. But you need something to kind of balance out the stress, or just the daily grind, I guess.
Right. Yogaworks. I love it. So if you ever want to go with me to a yoga class, just let me know. We can meet up.
Okay, cool.
So that brings me to another thing. You talk about the quotes that you like, and you mentioned the Dr. Ben Carson's book that your dad recommended when you were in high school. What types of books do you read now?
Law books. Definitely read law books, and industry magazines, and I'm on listservs, because it's very important to stay on the cutting edge, be aware of what's going on in your industry. So I definitely read a lot of those. I read a lot of spiritual books, or books that are uplifting. I've even changed, like I said, what I watch on TV, but the music I listen to. It's nice to have something with a good beat, and something you can dance to, but to listen to somebody that says you can make it, today is going to be a good day. Like, those are things that really get me energized. So in terms of books, one of the books I'm reading is one of Steve Harvey's books. Who would have thought? But, one thing that I've seen him speak a few times, and he talks about being courageous and taking control of your destiny. And I think that once you kind of embrace that concept, you look for other avenues that kind of support that, or other books and things that kind of support that. So that's what I'm reading now.
Very cool. I just want to remind everyone, if you have any questions for Samantha, Attorney Holloway, pop them into the Q&A feature here on Google Hangout, or you can tweet your questions to me and I'll ask her. So we're about to shift gears. We have about 10 minutes left. We're going to talk about role models. So what's the best advice you've received from a mentor or role model?
Well, one of the best advice, a few, and this is the way that I think sets me apart from a lot of lawyers. And this is it's industry specific, but I think it can apply to other industries, is that whereas I may encounter this situation every day or similar situations every day, for my client, this may be the one and only time they deal with this issue in their life. And I think that kind of goes to what everyone knows, is kind of, you don't know what people are going through. So you have to be kind of compassionate. And if you're in an industry like mine, which is a service industry, is providing people with good customer service. That's what mentors have kind of imparted upon me. And along the same vein is your name will go places that you physically won't go. And so developing a good reputation. And they pounded that into us in law school. Because so if you're in any kind of graduate program or anything like that, you don't know where your referrals may come from. You don't know who's going to invite you to participate on a board, who may contribute to your political campaign, who may be a resource that you have to reach out. And if you're the student or the coworker who's consistently late, who's unprepared, who's not knowledgeable, people are not going to refer their loved ones, other individuals that they respect or admire to you. So I think it's always being conscious of the reputation that you have and the way you present yourself to the public. I think those have been the biggest things that has, mentors have told me, that has kind of shaped kind of the way I do business.
That's excellent advice. So let's talk a little bit more about your mentors and role models. How did you connect to your first mentor?
Well, I am a very personable person. So when I meet people, I'm always engaging them in conversation, and that kind of sparked our relationship. Is meeting them at an event and saying, hey, can I follow up with you? And people are generally open to that. I was shocked. So just following up and maintaining a relationship. That's kind of how it started.
So along those same lines, what advice do you have to millennial women to maximize their mentorship relationships?
Don't be afraid to ask. I mean, do not. I had a friend yesterday on Facebook says, hey, anybody on Facebook would be willing to let me bounce some ideas off of them and give me some advice. There were probably 30 people who responded. Myself being an attorney that could help her out with any sort of legal issues or steer her wrong. There was someone who owned like 6 franchises. I mean, you never know who's out there, but don't be afraid to ask, even if it's something that simple. But if you meet someone, ask, can you follow up with them? I had one woman say, I'm really busy. It may take like 6 times, but I want to talk to you. So just keep asking. Don't be afraid. Don't have that fear of rejection. Don't have that fear that, maybe they're too advanced and they would want to talk to me, or everyone has been in your shoes at some point in their career. And the majority of people would love to tell you what mistakes they made so that you don't make them. And they'd love to help you out because they wish someone had done it for them, or they want to pay it back if someone did do that for them.
That's so powerful, just being able to ask. And everyone knows that I'm all about negotiating and asking for more, but it's just a simple thing of just having the courage to ask someone. And your friend who put that out on Facebook, we're going to see that person in the very near future as a really successful person because they were not afraid to ask. Yeah. So that was great advice, Samantha, for our millennial women. Before we wrap up, I have 2 more questions. Actually, one just came through on Twitter.
Okay.
Yes. And the question says, Attorney Holloway, can you share with me what you do when you experience what some may call a failure/defeat?
Oh, there's a poem that's called Don't Quit. Failure is success turned inside out. It's the silver tint in the cloud of doubt. You never know how close you are. It may seem, it may be near, but it seems so far. So don't think that failure is the end. Failure could be just the beginning. I would say if you experience a setback, analyze it. Figure out what went wrong, what can be done differently. And it may not even be something you did. I mean, it could be something that someone else has done or just it wasn't the right time or the right situation. But don't let it stop you. That's the thing. It could be the beginning of something successful. You could be very close to where you are. If you Google it, and I'm not sure, but I think Michael Jordan wasn't picked for his high school basketball team. I think the Microsoft people dropped, or the Apple people dropped out of college. I mean, there's these stories upon stories of people who have experienced failure in their life and did not stop. Whatever you do, do not quit. Like, do not let failure be the end. Let it be just the beginning. I mean, I can't say it enough. Just don't quit.
I'm writing that down, and I'm definitely going to tweet that out because that is so powerful. Before we wrap up, because we have 3 minutes left, okay, give us one parting piece of guidance. You've already dropped so many gems, but give us one parting piece of guidance and tell us how we can connect with you online.
Okay, perfect. Here's the parting piece of guidance. And I'm very, I talk a lot, so I'm going to try to condense it. When you ask a child, what do they want to be? They always say, I want to be it doesn't matter what it is. It's usually 5 or 6 things. I want to be an astronaut, a teacher, a pizza delivery man, and, a mailman. It's all these things that are unrelated, but they believe that they can do it. And somewhere along the lines between childhood and adulthood, we get these blinders. If you've ever seen horses, I don't remember where I heard this from, but if you ever see horses, whether they're in the Kentucky Derby or they're doing the buggy downtown, they have these blinders on. You have to take the blinders off. You need to, once you take the blinders off, you're not in this box. You're not going just in this projected path. The world becomes open and available to you. And I think sometimes as women, we think, okay, well, I got to stay at this job, or this is the next natural progression. But open your mind, take the blinders off, and realize that there are so many things that you can do and so many opportunities that are open to you if you're willing to go after them. So that's the advice. I forgot. I think you might ask me for something else, but I can't remember.
Now that was so good. Tell us about your services and how to connect with you online.
Okay, perfect. If you want to connect with me, I do have a website. It's currently being built, but it's shollowaylaww.com. You can also reach me via email, which will be my first name at the bottom. You'll see it. My first name, Samantha, my last name, Holloway, at shollowaylaww.com. Or you can call me, 678-390-3503.
That's awesome. Samantha, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day to join us for a career strategy session. I want to thank all of the viewers for joining us during your lunch break. I know you all are a little shy to ask questions during lunch, and I think that may be because you're eating. So that's good that you're eating during lunch. But you have Attorney Holloway's contact information. So don't be afraid to give her a call, send her an email if you have any questions. As you can see, she is a dynamic woman, and I'm so blessed that we were able to get her on for today's career strategy session. So thank you again, Samantha. Have an awesome day. And to the Navigating the Career Jungle community, this replay will be available for you on YouTube in a couple of hours. Have a great day, y'all.
Thanks. Bye.